What's up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, today we are talking about Daviyon Nixon, defensive tackle out of Iowa. This is one of my favorite defensive tackles in the class. We're talking about a guy who is very twitchy, very quick, and I'm gonna pull up the stats for you right now. We got a guy who's 6'3", 305 pounds, so fits the size that I want to see. 8.5 sacks, forced fumble, interception, and 75 tackles. Now he did transfer from a JUCO school to Iowa. So you're talking about a guy who's kind of dealt with some adversity, and he just came on so strong in this 2020 season. And I think he's positioned himself to be picked in the top 3 rounds. I really do. Let's get to the skill chart so I can break down Daviyon Nixon's game in a little different way. So first thing I want to talk about is the burst and first step. And if you've watched this channel at all, you know that 7 and above is an elite grade for me. So I put burst and first step at an elite grade, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, he is very quick off the line, which is the main point of that grade, but also just his overall twitchiness and athleticism. We're going to talk about athleticism too. That's an elite grade as well for a defensive tackle. His overall twitchiness and quickness, he gets across a defender's face so fast. He has quick feet, quick hands, all of it really good. We're talking about a guy who maybe doesn't play with as much power as you'd like to see from a 3 tech. So there will be certain teams that probably don't value as highly as I'm going to have him graded. But we're talking about a guy who is so quick off the line, never gives up on a play. All of these things are very good. And his first step is awesome. Read and reactability at a 6.4. This is really important to me. He always has his eyes on the ball. He always has his eyes in the backfield. He does play with really good understanding of where the ball is going. I do think he has a good football IQ, and based on my assessment, I do think he is very aware of everything going on around him, and he's able to play to that and play to his advantage there. So very good. Versus the run at a 5.4. So this is a little bit weird. I will say, first of all, his lateral mobility is so good. We're gonna get to athleticism. I'm kind of already telling you about athleticism. You can see that at a 7.3. So good, right? He's an athlete. So like when there's a running back in space, the dude's gonna get to him. Like I don't have any questions about that. I don't know what he's running. I don't care. His short area explosiveness is top notch for me, especially for a 300-pound man. So I'm good with that, and that's why it's a positive grade. The reason it's not an upper echelon grade for me is because I did feel he was blocked out of a play a little bit too much. There were too many times where I felt like a reach block or you know, a run fit kind of put him out of position. I thought he was almost kind of too quick for his own good. Like if he just would have stayed and anchored, like I know he can, like he does have a pretty good anchor. He definitely, you know, he never loses, and we'll get to leverage and things like that in a second. But overall, you know, I'm good with him in the run. I'll play him 3 downs. I'll put it that way. I have no problem with playing him 3 downs. I don't think he's the ultimate run stuffer that maybe some teams are looking for. And I've talked about other guys that I do think are that, and we'll continue to be putting out videos on guys that are more of like run stuffers. That's not really what he is. I do think he's more of a twitchy kind of shoot the gap type of defender, and I think he'll be very good at that at the next level, but maybe not like the greatest run blocker, but not a detriment to your team. He can definitely tackle. He can definitely get after the running back when he needs to. Play strength at a 5.6. That's a solid grade. Defensive tackle, you maybe would like to see that a little bit higher. I do think he has functional play strength. I'm not going to sit here and say it's super special, but at 5.6, it's good enough for me to kind of just check the box and move on. I'm not worried about that. I'll put it that way. Athleticism at a 7.3. Look, that's why you're drafting this guy. I think he absolutely belongs maybe 3rd round, like maybe 3rd round, because of like I don't know how much positional versatility he really has, but I think, you know, there's going to be a team that sees the athleticism from the defensive tackle, and there's going to be teams that value athleticism from the defensive tackle position that will have him very high on their board. Hand usage at a 3.2. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the problem was. It's just too consistently, it just was ineffective for whatever reason, and this is something that definitely needs work. It's not something that like I'm incredibly worried about. It's something that I think he will get better at as he grows. I think he kind of came from a JUCO system to a Power 5 school, and kind of what worked at JUCO wasn't working here. Less about technique for me and more just about landing his punches, landing his moves. Like it was kind of erratic. Like he has quick movement, like he has this, but like there's no like definition to it. There's no impact to it, I guess I would say. And I know I just waved my hands around because I'm an idiot who thinks that's something, and I know it's not, but you get what I'm saying, right? He needs a little bit more punch. He needs a little bit more effectiveness from his hands. I think that's the best way to say it. Leverage at a 5.3. So this is kind of an interesting one. I do think one-on-one, he doesn't lose. He really doesn't. Now, he gets double teamed, and he can definitely get blocked out of the play. I mentioned, he did have a tendency to kind of get reach blocked a little bit more than I would like. Things like that are definitely an issue. So that's why at a 5.3, not a super positive grade, but it's not a bad grade. Is technically a plus grade for me, and for good reason. I think he's functionally good enough at this. It's a checks the box kind of thing for me, but it's not special. I'll put it that way. Tackling at a 6.5. This is pretty close to elite, and it's definitely special for me. His ability in space is very, very good. I really like him in space. I really do. I feel very, very good about his tackling ability. And granted, as a defensive tackle, middle of the defense, doesn't matter that much. Usually you're kind of wrapping up and other guys are going to be right there to help you and things like that. But when I did see him in space, he was wrapping up and he was bringing guys down. Flexibility and bend at a 6.3. Yeah, he's flexible. He wins a lot with like tenacity and just ferociousness. Like sometimes it's like there wasn't like a special move or anything that I saw that that got me excited. It was just like, he's squeezing between a gap and he's fighting and he's maneuvering his body to get through, and that's what's pressuring the quarterback. And I'm good with that. I especially at the college level, I just want to see you win. I want to see more refinement at the NFL level there, because there has to be. I mean, you just have to up your game in every level to succeed in the NFL. But in the college level, for me, especially when we're talking about like these mid-round picks, I want to see you win. I want to maybe that's oversimplification. Maybe that's not the right way to look at it. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with that. Motor at a 5, and this actually was almost a lot higher. Like I originally had this at like a 6.7 or like very close to elite grade, and I ticked it down a little bit because there's just a little bit too much inconsistency. There were points where it just popped off the screen for me, and I think that's kind of what I'm like holding on to. The excitement that I have for this player is very real. This is just one of my guys. Like every scout has, everybody who watches a bunch of college guys every year has a couple guys that like, man, that's my guy, and this is one of my guys. Like I love him. So I've kind of like I recognize that there are some slight inconsistencies. I don't think it's a huge issue for me, but I get that some people probably are going to have a bigger issue than I do, and that's okay. That's why no grade is exactly the same. That's why two scouts don't always agree. It is what it is. Technique at a 4.6. This is just over average. Like it's not good. It's not bad. Again, like there are moments where it's like, shit, yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what I want to see from my defensive tackle, from the style of defensive tackle that he is. And then there were moments where it was like, okay, there's I mentioned in hand usage a little bit, and why the hand usage grade is so down is because it sometimes there wasn't any impact from the move that I see him trying to do. I will also say he needs to refine his counters. He doesn't, when the first move doesn't work, it's just kind of he just kind of is just fighting and kind of like I mentioned with flexibility, just trying to get through the gap, trying to get around somebody. He's quick twitchy, so he kind of can be a lot to handle for these guards and centers, especially at the college level, that just they're not expecting that much speed and that much athleticism. So like, I do need to see a little bit more technique, but overall, like again, technique's one of those things like they'll figure it out. They're gonna grow as a player. I don't expect this to be the final product. Pad level, I saw enough to be okay with it. I definitely thought he needs to get under the shoulder pads a little bit more and drive people back. I mentioned his play strength. I think he has functional strength, but he's not like he's not dominating guys one-on-one, and you'd like to see that. Like, get lower, throw them back, put them on their heels a little bit. And I didn't see enough of that. I do think, it was fine. He definitely pops up a little bit when he's looking for the running back at times. So, it definitely is an issue. At a 4, it's not the end of the world. It's just, it's a negative grade, but it's not a terrible negative grade. But overall, I really, really like this player. This is an athletic defensive lineman who will play in the middle of the defense. He's going to cause chaos on passing downs, and he will hold his own on rushing downs. I think first year, you're probably not going to ask him to be a 3-down defensive tackle, but as he progresses and figures out some of the deficiencies in his game and grows in certain aspects of his game, I do believe he will end up being a 3-down defensive lineman, and that is certainly a guy that I'm willing to take in the mid-round, especially 3rd, 4th round, right in that range. But guys, that's all I have on Daviyon Nixon. Let me know in the comments what you think about him. Let me know if you'd like to see him go to your team. You think he's a scheme fit? I'd love to hear what the fan bases think in general. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Click all the buttons you're supposed to click. Subscribe button's especially important to me. Like it would help me out a lot. All of those things, very, very useful. I really appreciate it if you do it. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.